So this is a wine aroma kit. This contains 54 vials of scents commonly found in wine. Hey, I'm Sommelier André Hueston Mack, and today I'm gonna show you how sommeliers use this kit to hone their sense of smell. So the ability to recognize aroma is very important for a sommelier to communicate concisely to guests what they're getting, what they should be getting, and answer any questions or inquiries that they might have. I mean, I think a lot of people try to call on the sommeliers in the wine industry about what flavors and things that they smell, aromas that they smell in wine. It's not a trick, it's a true thing. And to recognizing and picking up on these aromas in wine are key to your job. So what are we looking at here? So this is a kit, it has a name, it's called Le Nez de Vin, so the nose of wine. Here are the vials, there's 54 of them. They're all labeled by number, so you can taste them blind, pull them out here, and then you can go here to the flashcard set to the corresponding number, and it'll tell you what the scent is. I'm gonna give you a quick run through and let you know how it works, right? So we'll go ahead and pull a scent from over here. So this is 15, so I'll go ahead and give it a whiff. These are pretty powerful. You don't want to get so close to your nose that maybe you touch your nose or you get it stuck there, because you'll be breathing this stuff in for the better part of the day. This is blackcurrant. That's what I believe it is. It says 15 here on the vial. And so we'll grab one of the corresponding note cards here. We'll get to 15. So it has the number here on the top, and then it has an illustration of what it is. More importantly, on the back, and it gives a deep description about blackcurrants and talks about how it shares with raspberries the top rank in the range of complex aromas that you find in red wine. But what's awesome is they give you the country and the region and the styles of wines that they make there, where blackcurrant is found most prevalent in those wines. Not only can you train your nose in your mind when you recognize blackcurrant, which is a cool thing to be able to pick out, but then you can make the association where this scent or this aroma is found in different wines around the world. So let's try it again. Let's do aroma that's commonly found in white wine. This is number 7. That smells like a ripe cantaloupe. I don't know if these are natural scent, but I would tell you that they're really powerful. They're kind of an exaggeration of the typical smell that you might find in a wine. I'm okay with that. I think that you have to smell an abundance of it to really kind of get it and for it to sink in, for it to really be distinctive. We're gonna go through our flashcards. We're gonna pick number 7. We have 7 here. So this is melon. The melon is mostly found in Australia Chardonnays, and in sweet wines is what it's saying here, and the Chardonnay grapes. You know, when I first started in wine, it's hard, it's difficult. On the outside looking in, and you hear all these people talk about the different aromas and things that they're picking up in wine, I thought everybody was crazy. Only thing I could ever smell when I first started was alcohol. Generally, what I like to teach people is we have scent memories too. Like when you smell something, it brings you back to a certain place in your life. I always tell people, talk about what it reminds you of. When I was 6 or 7 and I stayed a night at a friend's house and they had a hamster cage in his room. In a hamster cage, they have shaving of cedar. When I smelled that all the time, all I could think about was the hamster cage. But now I realize that it's an actual thing. It's cedar, and it's a byproduct of what you would find in oak that's used in wine. I smell a wine, I smell hamster cage, and then that's how it comes, first thing that comes to mind. Then I can translate to that being like, oh, that's cedar. You can do this in other ways, going to a farmer's market and picking up the produce, going to the grocery store, constantly smelling things. So if you don't want to look like a weirdo in the grocery store, funneling all the produce, I think this is a more concise way, a more direct way to honing your wine palate. So the kit comes with a master list of all 54 aromas, and they're broken down by families. So you have fruity, floral, and the next category is vegetal and spicy. Next category is called animal. And the last is the roasted category. The fruity group, I think most people can wrap their head around that. It's wine, it's somewhat fruity, it's made from grapes. Where it gets a little tricky is when you're into the animal and somewhat of the vegetal, when you're looking at leather, musk, mushroom. It makes you wonder, how are these things getting into wine? And I have to tell you, you can add things to wine, but you can't add this kind of stuff to wine. These are developed in the winemaking process. When we think about the wine world in general, it's broken down into 3 overarching categories. So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary. So the best way to explain those 3 categories is to open a bottle of wine. Why not? So this is a Sonoma County Pinot Noir. This is 2021. And I think this is a great way to show you and highlight some of the primary aromas. Generally, I put my nose in the glass. I inhale through my nose and exhale through my mouth. So you'll see my mouth is slightly cracked, and this is really kind of to open up your olfactory senses so you can take everything in. 80% of taste is actually smell. So I'm swirling the glass here is kind of to open up the wine. The wine has been in the bottle. You just want to expose it to oxygen a little bit. So aerating the wine is just getting more air into the wine, getting more lift in the wine, waking up the wine. All right, so right off the back, I'm getting blackcurrant. blueberry, cherry, there's some thyme, and violet. A lot of the primary aromas that you get come from the grape itself. Not all grapes are the same. They all have their own kind of characteristics and aromas and things that they give off. So when we're talking about primary, a lot of those aromas come from those specific grapes. You could say, all right, I'm gonna have Sonoma Pinot Noir today. That's what we're gonna try. And then you research through the kit and find out what aromas that are most commonly found in Pinot Noir. And you wanna smell them and kind of run through and then see if you could taste those in the wine. So violet, you can smell it as soon as you take it off, the cap off. Every time I smell it, it smells like old lady perfume. It's like my grandma would wear this, you know? Sorry, Grandma, you smell lovely. So this is violet, you can smell it. You can really smell it here in the glass. It's not overpowering. It's just like on the back end, like it's kind of flowing up. So that's there. Black currant is there at the core, right? I picked that up right in the middle. And then this slightly herbaceousness that you get from it. And you get a little bit of that here. It smells so good. So those were the primary aromas that generally come from the grapes. Now we're gonna move on to the secondary aromas that I can pick out in this wine. I think the key thing that jumps out is vanilla, which is, oak. And secondary happens in the winery, right? Like what you do in the winemaking process. And so I think we've all seen grapes being harvested and picked, and then it goes into the fermentation process. And in fermentation, what you have is the yeast cells that have been introduced, eat up the sugars in the grapes and turning it into alcohol. And then how you want to finish the wine, whether you want to put it in oak or you want to do stainless steel, all those things up until bottling. Can you tell how a wine was made based on secondary aromas? Yeah, you can. I mean, the big thing is this wine has spent some time in oak. That's where you're picking up, this vanilla and kind of cinnamon thing that you're picking up. It gives you a little bit more insight on how the wine was made. So the aromas that you find in white wine are completely different than the aromas that you find in red wine. So we're gonna go ahead and open this white wine, which is a Sonoma County Chardonnay from 2021. All right. Primary notes here, citrus heavy, so it's citrus, lemon, lime, floral, there's lilacs, white flowers, all right? And then if we go into secondary, I would say this is a richness, like it doesn't smell like popcorn butter, it's not butter, but this wine has gone through malolactic fermentation, so you can kind of smell that. It's like this concentration, a tad bit of vanilla, not overwhelming, but it does smell somewhat sweet. Maybe I would just say snickerdoodle in a way. Yep, it's right there. It's more like flagrant butter. This is synthetic butter, but it smells like what's in here. So here's the butter card. The fresh butter note is frequently found in Chardonnays, a United States California Chardonnay. So now we're gonna move on to tertiary. In order to do that, we have to open another bottle of wine. All right, so the wine that we've chosen here is Bourguignon. This is from the Loire Valley. This is a red wine. This is 2018. So for tertiary, this actually happens in the aging process. And so we wanted to pick a wine that had a little bit of bottle maturity to it. All right, give this a pour. Off the top, it's like tobacco leaf, mushroom, damp forest floor. Get a little bit of black peppers as well. Even after it's been made, it's placed in a bottle, it's still evolving. The cork is porous, and so over time, it slowly lets oxygen seep in. The compounds and everything are interacting with that, and it's breaking down the wine. That's where a lot of these smells and aromas are developed, is during the aging process. A lot of people talk about the aging process being the magic. It's the magic that happens in wine. Older wines will definitely have more tertiary flavors and aromas. Using this kit, it kind of really will help you appreciate older wines as well. Yeah, so I think mushroom was one, right? There it is. You can feel the freshness of a fairy ring mushroom when aerating certain old vintages. They're saying that you pick up in older wines and not necessarily something that you get in regular wine. This is very valuable. This is very valuable. I'm a firm believer in something like this, especially being a sommelier. Part of your training is all the great wines that you get to taste, and that's kind of really how you build your wine aroma and your taste memory palette. But if you had to do that on your own, not working at a restaurant, it can be really expensive. Quite expensive. And I think by investing or using $400 for this kit, it's one way, an alternative to be able to train without actually having the wines in front of you. And then when you get the wines in front of you, you can be more analytical about how you break them down and assess them. All right, so we have 54 aromas here, all commonly found in wine, but sometimes things go wrong in wine, and there's another kit for that. This is called the Wine Faults Kit, made by the same company to the previous kit. These are the 12 most common faults that you would find in a wine. On the surface level, what is a wine fault? It's a flaw in the wine. whether that's through the winemaking process or once it's been placed in the bottle. As a sommelier, this is helpful for quality control. Some people will drink effed up wine because they don't know it's effed up. By familiarizing yourself with these 12 faults, you'll let you know if you're drinking effed up wine. F stands for fault. I'm gonna pick out a few here and run them down for you, the ones that I think are the most crucial for you to know about. This is number 12, this is cork, and I feel like this is the number one thing that you should be aware of. You don't wanna be drinking corked wine out there. Oh, that's it. That's it right there. It smells like wet newspaper, an attic, and this is what you don't want in your wine. This is called TCA. It's when natural fungi interacts with chemicals, mainly cleaning supplies, and in effect, the cork. The bad part is that it can get into barrels, it can get into lots of your lines or pump lines and stuff like that. You want to be able to recognize this because this is one of the major flaws in wines, and you shouldn't be drinking wine that tastes like wet cardboard. Next up, we have number 10, and it's somewhat controversial. It's just labeled as horse. I think it even goes on to a little bit more description. Horse sweat. Okay, all right. That is exactly what this smells like. A lot of people call it Brett for short for Brettanomyces. When I talk about controversial, it's one of those things is it really a fault if people enjoy it, right? Like, so I like a little Brett in my wine. I sound a little weird here. You know, I think a little bit can add, you know, layers of complexity to the wine and another nuance to the wine, but too much of it, to me, overpowers the wine, and it's not fun to drink at all because it feels like you're drinking a barnyard full of horses. This is generally a result of, you know, what people like to say dirty winemaking, just your winery's not clean. So wine has been made for thousands of years and it's steeped on tradition. So a lot of cleaning and those kind of things, and you know, we're talking about old cellars and those types of things where, you know, some of them can't be cleaned as well as an ER would be. But like I said, a little bit of Brett for me goes a long way in small doses. And number 1, so this is vegetal. This is something that's easily recognizable in wine, and I think that you should be able to pick it out and understand what it means. So when we open this up here, yeah, so it just smells like canned asparagus to me, or green bell pepper. A lot of times, the greenness and the vegetal that you get is really a sign of a particular grape varietal. So particular grape varietals have higher pyrazines, if you will, which is the more clinical name, in them. You're gonna get a lot more of that vegetal quality. If the wine is picked and it's unripe or ripens too fast, you tend to get a lot more of this characteristic in a wine. And so I think some people may not see it as a fault, really, but when it's egregious, it becomes a fault, trust me. When you say vegetal, that kind of tends to be a fault. When you say green pepper and those kind of things, it becomes less of a fault and more of an attribute of the wine. Knowing the faults is crucial, and as a professional, it's a must know. Looking at this thing, as a professional, being able to connect aromas to certain wines in certain regions is invaluable. So if you're trying to get into wine, I think this just makes it fun. If you want to appreciate wine more, this tool helps right off the rip.
You want to do a test? You want to do a lightning test? Pick a random one and I'll see if you get it right.
Yeah.
André Mack, lightning round test.
All right, let's see. This is peppermint.
What number?
42.
42 is... Whoa.